Shaku Maku, everybody. You're welcome to the newsroom, and I'm Aghogho Oboh. And the newsroom is up and running, so whatever you're doing, you can take a pause. And from now till the top of the hour, we've got you locked on the bigger stories which we've been following from our newsroom and also to what we've been listening to you from. And don't forget, you can always connect with us on social media, on at Facebook at Nigeria Info, on Twitter. That's Nigeria Info on Facebook, Nigeria Info FM, as well as on Twitter. On WhatsApp, it's 0809 597 5805. Months after terrorists kidnapped passengers on the Kaduna bound train, the passengers are still being released in trickles by their captors. And then, in politics, the ongoing feud between the governor of Rivers State, Wike, and the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has got Nigerians wondering if the colorful governor of Rivers State may just be jumping ship to the APC. These are some of the topics that we'll be talking to you this evening, and we'll also hear your view on many of these topics also too. So you're welcome to the newsroom. This is our weekly show brought to you by Nigeria Info's Newsroom, where we take a critical look at some of the big stories from the previous week. So we're going to start off with politics, where you now, by now, if you're not fed up, maybe you are intrigued by everything going on in Rivers, in the politics of the People's Democratic Party. It's a feud many people have described as a very intriguing one. Because as Atiku Abubakar emerged as the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the process, which was widely viewed in June, others of the opinion that his announcement, which was already a slap on the governor of Rivers State because he had his concerns in how Atiku Abubakar emerged as the party's candidate that night in Abuja. To make matters worse, you have the governor of Delta State, Dr. Aghogho, being announced as the running mate when people had thought it was Wike going to pick up the running mate slot. And then people are also wondering this continuous romance between the All Progressives Congress, the opposition party, and Governor Wilson Wike, where you had a number of governors show up in Rivers State for the commissioning of projects. And this has also generated some more controversy. Many believe his body language is tilting towards the presidential candidate of the APC. Although he hasn't said anything yet, his supporters have hit the streets, whether at the Wadata Plaza in Abuja or in Rivers State, to do certain things which does suggest he's upset. But what do we know? We are going to now join China Acheru, who is with Wazobia FM in Port Harcourt, the program manager in Wazobia FM. Great to have you join us, China.
Good to be here. Good evening.
Excellent. And we're going to do this interesting discussion. Someone will say something that it's always great to have discussions like this from the sidelines as a neutral, where you know that you're not going to be stung by all of the interesting dramas. You just grab the popcorn and soda and sit back and watch as the missiles fly past. So, tell us, what's happening with the PDP? What you think that the party should be united as it heads towards a general election? But with every passing day, it does appear that a wedge is being driven through the main opposition party, China.
For me, from where I sit, I do not see so much of a disunity party. I just think the media is trying to get, they're in a competition who gets the more sensational headline. So it seems like there's a deep crisis in the PDP because of different headlines. But even if there is an issue in the PDP, I think it's not as big as the media has painted it. It's something that can be sorted out over drinks, over cups of coffee. So it's not as serious as the media has painted it. Like I said, from where I sit watching.
Not as big as you consider it, but would you think, a lot of people look at the governor of Rivers State as someone who says it as it is. I mean, he doesn't hide his feelings. And interestingly, he's not said anything so far. He says, wait, I will speak. And when I speak, you will know what exactly this is all about. But his supporters have been going up and down to the point, I mean, you have them protesting in Abuja, demanding that the party's chairman, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, step down as a major demand for peace to come again to the party. What would you say about this this silence from Governor Wike? Meanwhile, you have people on his... Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's a good silence because over the past few months, people looked at the Governor Wike as a man that, in quotes, talks too much. Now, after the primaries, maybe he decided to pause a bit. And people wonder why his silence is so loud. So I think he's in a catch-22 situation. If he talks, problem. If he's silent, problem. Yes, obviously, he may have made some demand. And a lot of people are talking about the national chairman of the party stepping down. So maybe that could be, I'm trying to pick my words carefully. Maybe that could be one of his demands.
Yeah.
But the key thing is that the man in question has not spoken yet.
You know, interesting.
And like he says, he's going to speak soon.
Yeah.
So maybe when he does speak.
Yeah. Let's dig a little into this thing about whether Senator Iyorchia Ayu should step down or not. You know, people have said that based on the zoning formula, if you have the party's presidential candidate from the northern part of the country, common sense should prevail that you should have the chairman of the party from the other side of the country, which will be the southern part, as the argument of those who are demanding that Senator Iyorchia Ayu step down. But interestingly, you know, there's a precedent to this. I remember in 2007, with the same PDP, interestingly, when the late President Umaru Yar'Adua emerged as the party's candidate, and the party's chairman was a certain Ahmadu Ali from the north in Kogi State then. And, you know, he didn't step down then. You know, the argument, which is the argument you've seen a lot of people push forward now, that if you go ahead and then win the election, then you can step down because you have the president from one side of the country, from the same side of the country, you have the party's chairman. But if he loses, then you have status quo there. What's your thought on this one?
Well, those that talk about the party chairman and the president coming from a similar part of the country, I think it's a good argument. But on the flip side, you understand that in the other party, APC, they had an agreement, and they said, "Hey, our party chairman comes from the north, and presidential candidate comes from the south." They agreed. Now in the PDP, they set up a committee to decide on that, and the committee came out to say, "We are not zoning. Let's make it open." I think that decision alone cancels out the whole zoning issue for the PDP. Because if at that point they have said, because the party chairman is from this part of the country, let the other candidates for the presidency come from the other part, then it would have been different. But they agreed on no zoning. So based on that, I don't think those guys are arguing on the side of zoning. I don't think they have a case in this here.
Makes for great listening. In case you just joined us on the newsroom on 99.3 Nigeria Info, we're looking at the crisis in the People's Democratic Party. Chana Acheru Wazobia, Port Harcourt, doesn't see it as a crisis. He thinks the media is throwing up a storm in a teacup. But we're going to pick through this one and see if this PDP will not have some more big wigs drop off as we get closer to the 2023 general election. Like I say, what do we know? So there's talk about some of the things that a number of followers, since we're waiting for Governor Wike to speak, and he hasn't said anything yet, but there are people who say they know his body language, people who say they've worked with him for several years and they know when he coughs or when he sneezes, this is the direction he's going because of the sort of things he thinks he's upset about. If you take the emergence of Atiku Abubakar and the way the convention, the primary went for Wike, because, I mean, he really wanted to get the party's ticket. He didn't make any jokes about it. I mean, he put his heart into the entire thing, and obviously was visibly upset the way the night turned out for him. But with the vice presidential slot, we're not too sure if that's exactly what he wanted. But his name obviously was on the short. His name was on the short list for those who could be Atiku's vice presidential candidate. And he also lost out in that one too. And he's also said, look, this party was on its knees in 2015. I was behind a lot of stuff that happened. And leaving it at that. You think with the caliber of the politician or the person that Nyesom Wike is, these two major incidents haven't hurt him, and that he'll fold his hands and say, let bygones be bygones, and doesn't want any compensation for what he has suffered?
Well, I think he wants some compensation. I think, because I've not spoken to him, so I think he does. But let's look at it this way.
Go ahead.
From the day Wike decided to throw his heart into the ring to go for presidency, he said one thing. He said the same thing. He was consistent in it. He said, I want to be president of Nigeria. I don't want any other thing. He went on to chide some other people who he said they bought a ticket for Senate, gubernatorial, as well as presidential. So in case one fails, the other works for them. And Wike said, I did not buy a Senate ticket. I did not buy anything. I just bought the presidential form. So that will tell you that he was focused on that. And even when he lost out, his senatorial district was taken by someone else. That would tell you clearly that he did not keep that form for himself. And after he lost, the whole issue of being vice president started. Remember, Wike was quiet. But the rumor mill said he was eyeing it. Now we hear that the PDP set up a committee to decide who will be vice president under Atiku. And we hear the committee shortlisted him. Wike still had not spoken. Then suddenly, Atiku decides to go for the Delta State governor. And people go, oh, Wike is angry, he's aggrieved, he will leave the party. The truth is that from the first day he threw his heart into the ring, he never said he wanted to be vice president. And even at the time that his team members, so to say, on social media, celebrated the fact that he was shortlisted, there was still no word from him. So when the Delta State governor, Oboh, was announced, yes, I expect that those that celebrated would have been disappointed, aggrieved, just maybe. But the man in question had said nothing. Could that be because he was never interested in being vice president? Could that be? Could that be because he had his eyes somewhere else and not vice presidency? Could that just be? But you know, they say nature abhors the vacuum. Because he has been quiet, the media has been speculating for him. And that's why we've heard all sorts of stuff. Now, from where I sit once again, and I like where I sit, from where I sit once again, I don't think Governor Wike was aggrieved at not being named as running mate to Atiku. I don't think. And because I know you're going to ask that question in future, I also don't think Governor Wike will leave the PDP.
All right. So since you understand the body language, I guess also too from where you sit and you can see and also feel, you know, the pulse of a lot of party members in Rivers State there. Why do you think he won't leave the PDP and seek his fortunes elsewhere?
Yeah, because I kept on asking. Like sometime last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, there are lots of stories making the round about Wike almost leaving. Then when he invited the Femi Gbadagbia to commission one of his projects, and he was like, look at it, he's taunting PDP. He has invited an APT man to commission the project. But we checked Wike's history since he became governor. That had never mattered to him. he had once invited voters to Okorocha to commission a project in Port Harcourt, and then there was no, in quote, crisis in the PDP. He had once invited Fabio to commission a project in Port Harcourt, and they teased each other on that day. And at that time, there was no PDP crisis. So he does all of this. And this should teach us a lesson that these politicians will fight for every day on social media are friends. They're not going to meet at the airport and start fighting. So the fact that he invited some APC men, Lawan and the rest, for me, it meant nothing. Then again, if you follow the news, the River State politics very well,
right.
Just last week, on Monday, something hit Port Harcourt. The immediate past chairman and PRO of PPC moved to the PDP. Just last week, on Monday, last week. And what I asked was, if Wike is about to leave the PDP, why is he bringing these people to the PDP? Why? If he's about to leave. Then if you remember when he spoke to Badabi Amin Adadja, when he said, I was one of those that plotted against you. I'm sure you remember that statement. If you listen well, he said, my mission in life, or my mission then, was to trouble APC. And it's still my mission now. So I think that because people are linking him with Bola Tinubu, maybe. But I think those statements not show that. I don't think he has considered that. Because if he's dragging, in quote, now Bola Tinubu's men to PDP, why will he do that? And now abandon them there and go to APC. So I think Wike wants something, or I believe he wants something. And I also believe everything he's doing is geared towards pushing Atiku to that spot. The Atiku says, let's talk. So the question now to be, is there a crisis in PDP? I don't think so. Does Wike want anything? Yes, I believe he wants something. What does Wike want? Then we can begin to analyze that.
And I guess there's the million naira question. Well, even though I think million naira means very little in this country nowadays, maybe a billion naira question, China, on how and what exactly he will go about what he wants in a party that, as you see and you hear the different chords and the different notes major actors are singing, it makes you wonder how they will be a formidable force. So from your assessment and your analysis, there's no doubt it remains a major force in the local politics in Rivers State. But what is of doubt is whether that same influence, based on what is happening, usurps his power dynamics in the south region of this country. If you have Ifeanyi Okowa, the running mate, he's the governor of Delta State, Atiku Abubakar. People have said, does it belittle whatever influence he will have, for example, in the politics that plays in, say, for example, in Warri, or what plays out in Uyo or Calabar? China, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, I was asking. Yes, the consequences of what has happened to Wike. Does it reduce his bargaining power in the South?
You mean Atiku?
No, it's on Wike.
No. I don't think it does. I don't think it does. Now, a lot of people they are reading too much into Atiku picking Ifeanyi Okowa as running mates. Now, I'm here thinking that people make political calculations, and just maybe, because if you ask me, I've seen everything that is going on in Port Harcourt. I've lived in Port Harcourt almost all my life, and I still believe that Wike will support Atiku eventually, and Atiku will win Rivers State. But that's just me saying. I'm not going to do the actual voting. Now, I think Atiku feels if he has a man by Wike on his side, it guarantees him Rivers votes, maybe Bayelsa votes, maybe Akwa Ibom votes, maybe. So why not go for an Okowa who, like they say, is more level-headed, and every president wants a vice that is more level-headed than he is. So, and maybe with Anukoa, he can have a say in the votes around that region. Now, will it diminish Wike's influence? Maybe, maybe not. Nobody knows. Maybe, maybe not. Nobody knows. But know the kind of person Wike is and the kind of influence he wields, especially in the South. I'm doubting it will. But again, I would say maybe, maybe not.
All right. Maybe, maybe not. And I guess it's the game that the governor of Rivers State, Newsroom, Wike loves to play for people. You know, I mean, he'd go this way, go that way, and then eventually we'll know exactly where he stands when he talks. But we'll know very soon because the campaign will soon start. But it's always a pleasure having to speak with China Achiru. The program manager was Obia FM in Port Harcourt. Thank you very much, China.
The pleasure is mine.
Excellent. All right, do have yourself a great rest of the week. All right, we continue our discussion, and while the discussion with China was going on, I was trying to see if I could get any messages in here. The number to send the messages on WhatsApp on the newsroom is 0809 597 5805. Again, 0809 597 5805. We've turned our attention to the PDP. All other episodes, we looked at the APC. Sometimes it's with the Labour Party to look at what is happening as we count down to the election. So, not that we favored one party over the other, but we've had this whole thing with the party making the biggest stories, making things more interesting rather than boring in the week gone by. It was the People's Democratic Party. Maybe this week it could be the Labour Party or any of the other parties. Well, tell us what you think. You think it's a crisis which has been made up by the media, as China says, or you think it's something that is really going to rock the main opposition party to its foundation if it's not well taken care of? Our second story, so while I've been trying to get in touch with our guest for the second story, but it appears like he told me before the show that he's in some remote part of the country in some national assignment. He wouldn't tell me what national assignment he's on, but I make the promise that we will get him in subsequent editions because he's someone I think we need to listen to, not only for his role when he was the executive secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, that's Professor Usman Yusuf, but because of what he does in the northern parts of the country also too. Interestingly, the other guest I was trying to hook up with also too appears to be out of contact also to that Sheikh Ahmed Gumi. And I mean, they've worked behind the scenes, and if you knew the role Sheikh Gumi played last week in the recovery of some of the abductees from the Abuja Kaduna train terror incident, just to ask some questions. I know some of the questions will bother around security. He won't talk about some of those parts, but very importantly, they will help provide some insight into what is happening, especially with the victims. I've spoken with a number of those who've been rescued, and it's a harrowing experience that they've had to go through. So we'll open the phone lines also too for you to have your say on this one. What you think we need to do to get the remainder of those who have been abducted in the Kaduna train incident, and not just them alone. Quite a number of people. I was speaking with the security expert earlier on today, and he was giving me an account of the numbers of people who have been killed in the last half of the year, and those who have been abducted. It's unbelievable, the numbers, and I think it's something we really need to take serious attention to. Take serious attention, rather pay careful attention to the numbers of people who have been abducted and those who have been maimed and killed in this country. Think about your personal safety and security is very, very important. Yesterday I did take a walk around a number of places of worship and realized security operatives, soldiers positioned in several places, and it did give me some feeling that yes, we could be in this we could get out of this if we get together as a country, watch our backs and watch our neighborhood, and also provide the necessary support for those who is their duty to protect us, while we hammer on also too on the development angle, because we cannot forget also to the reason why these high levels of insecurity we are seeing. I mean, as Rotimi Sankore will say, it's directly correlated to the problems we are facing, the developmental deficits and failures, to the high rate of insecurity in the country. So let's not make any mistake about it. The military is not going to solve this problem for us. Bullets will not take away the poverty or the lack of employment opportunities that a lot of youths have found themselves in. We need to incentivize crime in this country. We need to do that so that people, if they have a great chance and opportunity to make it in this country, they would not see crime as an easy way out. Rather, they will see hard work, and they can look and see how things are happening. Well, we're getting messages. Enough of my talk, and we'll go to the phone lines to get your reactions to the stories we're looking at today in the newsroom. The number on WhatsApp, 08095975805. I'm going to get to the phone lines in 1 minute. Exactly 1 minute. I will be with the phone lines. Chike from Apapa says, Wike threatened Atiku and PDP in front of Sanwo-Olu publicly, sang unusual songs against them. I see they sweet, also see they pain them. He went ahead to tell Atiku that if he doesn't take him, he too would not. If he doesn't like him, he too would not like him. So I don't understand when you people say that Wike has not spoken. Wike is angry and ready to punish Atiku and PDP. All right, thank you, Chike. Chike has interpreted some of those songs to me in Wike's anger. Wike said he's not a second-class citizen, that he will support whosoever that wins the PDP's presidential ticket. I want the Karakba of Rivers State to listen to the party faithful. Okay, so that's interesting there. Prince Maja says it's only normal for Wike to feel betrayed and show it after committees had chosen Wike. It's expected of Atiku to have to explain to him he had chosen Okowa over him. Prince Maja, and what will he explain? Sorry, guy, we decided to look away from you because we're not sure that to borrow from China, it won't cost us much drama like Okowa will. Yeson Wike is a commando. Take it or leave it. My name is Aghogho from Obalende. Thank you very much, all of you. We're going to go to the phone line straight away now. 0700 993 993 993. Again, 0700 993 993 993. And an added incentive for the female callers. The number is 01465 7190. Again, 01465 7190. So let's see who is first to the block. Hello and good evening.
Aghogho.
Hey, Makushi, your name please and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Atiku for First Stack. I called you guys on Friday when I was telling you guys as in this our government, and it's like they need some professionals to advise them. Anyway, straight to the point.
Right.
In the case of this incentivizing people, Aghogho, as in one of the biggest problems we have, as in we are not seeing the rewards for hard work. You see someone that will struggle for years after JAM, after ASU, first class, second cab, or end up in driving Uber and Bolt. Not that it's not a dignified job, but what will I now tell the other person is not encouraging. Then on the side of this PDP, I don't even know for them, but the only thing I know is that in the end they will sort themselves out. Worst case scenario, Jason Wike, we know where he will put himself in. As in, they're just playing their politics left and right, but none of them is really facing the issues. We need people that can address issues, not this what they are playing. It's just, I think, earlier this morning, they were like, during the convention, nobody slept. All of them were planning, strategizing, but they don't do that for security, they don't do that for ASU. Let them put the energy they put for their connection to fix our problems. Thank you, Aghogho.
All right, thank you very much, Chike. Always a pleasure hearing from you. Let's see who's next. Hello and good evening. Can you turn on the device you're listening with? All right, rather switched off. Quickly, hello and good evening.
Hello.
Great to have you join us. Your name, please, and where you calling
Good
from?
evening, Aghogho.
Aha.
I'm Ezedum from Sweden.
Ezedum, you have the floor. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. The problem of PDP is insincerity. Aghogho, remember when Southern leaders was agitating for the PDP to zone the ticket to South because it is the turn of South to produce the president. PDP later took a decision that they will throw the party, the candidate, the ticket open. And you promise that if a presidential candidate emerges from North, that he will step down. So if IU is still hanging up in PDP, IU is the problem of PDP. So if 14 out of 17 advised Atiku to pick Wike because of Wike's performance and doggedness, if Atiku pick Okowa, who is not performing, so be it. But Wike deserves respect. Atiku went to River State to beg Wike for support. But after Atiku emerged, he has not to today visited Port Harcourt to compare with Wike. It is wrong. I am disappointed. Atiku, I thought Atiku is a good party player, a good politician, but his performance and body language, he will fail. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Ezedum. I think we can squeeze in one or two more calls. Hello and good evening.
Yeah, Aghogho, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Great to have you join us. Your name, please, and where you calling from?
My name is Jonathan. I'm on transit. I'm going home.
All right, Jonathan, go ahead, please.
I want to appreciate Ezedum for that. Let me talk about this PDP issue for one of the very last time. I think Ezedum is very, very correct. You see, Wike, this same thing they did to Fayose, if you remember, they did the same thing to Fayose. Fayose was, this Wike and Fayose, they are party people. I'm not a PDP person, no. I'm just analyzing what is really happening realistically. These are just like Tinubu too. They are party people who have stand by parties for years. When people are giving way, it's unfair. Even when I hear analysis on it, I just feel that people don't. Are they talking from the point that they don't have conscience or what? This is somebody that they have stick out their neck, talk when people are not talking. When it's not time for you to appreciate them, you now jettisoning them. Aghogho, will you be happy? Let's be very factual with ourselves. This is the same we get. And as far as I'm concerned, since the day they pronounce Okowa as deputy, have you heard him speak anything that will shake APC? I am very sure, I did being he was wicked by now, APC will have been rattled. But since they announced Okowa, have you ever made any public comment? You will never, because he's a gentleman. Sometimes you need dog-get people to make things happen.
All right.
As far as I'm concerned, I think Wike, he has paid his dues. And if they treat him this way, just like they treated Tinubu, it's unfair. When people are paid their dues, pay them the right way. I think they did nothing more than that.
All right.
As far as I'm concerned, they are treating him unfairly. And as far as I'm concerned, even in the party, making a choice of Okowa is a disservice to themselves because they will not get anywhere.
All right. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Great point made. Let's take the last call and then
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Okay, good evening. I'm actually calling in respect to this PDP saga.
Yes, go ahead.
I want to make it clear that without Wike, I think he's going nowhere, honestly. So, and for people saying, some people are saying Wike should just forget and go. No, it doesn't work that way. Politics is all about business. So you don't just place somebody on business and say you should go that way. The Northerners, they played on Wike, and without Wike, Atiku is going nowhere. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Says without Wike, Atiku isn't going anywhere. Messages on WhatsApp. Controversies in the APC and PDP is a clear sign that Nigeria needs a new party with clear vision to turn the country around. Mike writes from Lekki. I think Wike should calm down. He's my man. I believe Wike will remain in PDP, says Emmanuel James. All right, let's keep our fingers crossed and see where the pendulum will swing, James. All right, so that's it on the newsroom. Next week, Ufuoma should be in. He's taking some time out to chill in the Caribbean. I'm sure he'll be listening. I'm like, what Caribbeans? But he's fine, and he's just taking out some time to get himself back. But well, hopefully next week we'll be in together again, and we can have a look at the big stories during the week. That's over the last week. I hope I can get Engineer Dr. Usman Yusuf eventually, and or Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, and that we can get some more information how we hope to get the remainder of those who are trapped in the forest somewhere in the northwest. Can't believe over 150 days they've been held captive by terrorists, and makes us wonder. But until we come again next week, remember, elections have consequences. Register to vote. Get your PVC. Don't get your PVC. Go collect your PVC if it's already out, and don't bother to register again, except you're one of those 7,000 if you think will happen. Remember to download a Nigeria Info wherever you are on the iOS store. Let's see you again next week.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
Waiting you sabi about the beautiful game. You dey there for the life and style. Fantasy leagues, bass goals, ginger and okpo, breaking down the stats even to the MVPs, taking no L's and only for the W's. I beg, then Showmax Pro get news for you. Football season is back. Live, e-choke. Watch the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, anywhere on any screen. Mad oh. Stream the action from Super Sport, live on Showmax Pro. Sign up at showmax.com.
Believe and win big. Experience the wonder of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar with Coca-Cola. Buy any Coca-Cola product with a white cap. Check the code under the cap and dial *8014 *1 *code # to participate for free. You could